Part 2. Silver Snow. Harpstring Moon. The Impregnable Fortress. After seizing the Great Bridge of Myrddin, the Resistance Army starts making preparations to invade Imperial territory, when a surprising piece of information comes to light.
Emergency! In Gronder Field!
We are in the middle of a military conference. Please, calm yourself and tell us what is the matter.
Yes, sir. It seems the Kingdom and Alliance armies clashed with Imperial forces on Gronder Field. Amid the chaos of three armies battling each other out there, the Imperial army was routed. Edelgard sustained heavy wounds and retreated to Enbar.
Well then, I suppose.
Sir, the Kingdom army was also decimated, and His Highness Dimitri has been counted among the dead.
What?
The Alliance sustained heavy casualties as well, and the whereabouts of their leader, Claude, is currently unknown.
Unknown? It must have been a brutal fight. Our only solace is that Edelgard sustained severe injuries. This is all quite unexpected, but we must find a way to use this situation to our advantage. The Empire's main force has suffered a mighty blow. Edelgard will most certainly avoid the front lines. Now is the time for us to infiltrate the Empire and aim for the capital.
But what will happen to the Lords of the Old Kingdom and Alliance territories?
They have lost many leaders and soldiers. I am sure they must be hard at work rebuilding. We will foster cooperation by aiding them through the local churches. The remaining Lords of the Kingdom and Alliance must join together to form one union. And you should be the one to lead them. What do you say? Indeed, it is a question for another day. We must focus on our battle with the Empire. For now, what is our next course of action? We must choose a place within the Empire that will give us solid defenses for our front line. That will become the foothold for our invasion of the capital. There is one massive fortress that boasts the greatest defenses in the Empire, Fort Merceus. We will stand no chance if we attack by traditional means. We must gather everyone and devise a plan of attack.
It has been a lifetime, hasn't it, Professor? Yes, I thought so too. I wanted to slice her throat, but I did not get the chance. I let people die, and yet I still stand. Rodrigue, Gustav, Dedu. You sound just like Rodrigue. A way to absolve my sins. Everyone gives such complicated advice, and I can never quite grasp it all. That is why, Professor, I came here to explain my decision. I have no resources to take back the Kingdom capital, much less to defeat the Empire, and that is why...
Professor, you will catch a cold sleeping in a place like this. Is something the matter? I am the only one here. Were you dreaming? I can't say for certain that you were dreaming, but if someone did come here to see you, that person only wanted you to see their face. Perhaps they wanted you to guide them.
Professor? Fort Merceus is next, huh? Ah, the memories. It's a huge stronghold in my father's domain. The town's completely surrounded by high walls. I used to run around there when I was a kid. Way back when a fortress was just a playground for me. Yeah, those were the days. Fort Merceus is old and strong. Its reputation for durability is equal to that of Aryan Road. Are you certain your plan is sufficient? It seems to be a little simplistic. I suppose I must take you at your word, mustn't I? Incidentally, have you heard any news of Claude? I, for one, have a hard time believing he is dead. He was always a clever and tenacious sort.
It hasn't sunk in yet. They slaughtered the boar. I can hardly believe it. I thought he was alive all this time. He must have really hated Edelgard to lead such an ill-advised assault. No point in feeling sorry for the poor scoundrel now.
Hey, Professor?
Professor, if Claude somehow survived, I imagine he's terribly wounded. All three forces have suffered heavy losses. We're incredibly lucky to have not been involved. This is a perfect and unique opportunity to go on the offense. Now is the time to prove ourselves, Professor. Hi there! It's always so peaceful coming back here. But it's hard to relax knowing we have to go out on another expedition again so soon. And assaulting that huge keep. That sounds hard. Oh, really hard. Don't you think it'll be hard? Of course you'd say that. Why'd I even ask?
A moment, please.
I've come to deliver vegetables we harvested in the village to the monastery's dining hall. Because of the season, I couldn't really pick that much, but I wanted to help the church out, even just a little bit. We're busily planting seeds, so when things start to grow, I'll be back.
I think you're quite a tactician, disguising ourselves as enemy soldiers to sneak in undetected. A stroke of brilliance. In a frontal attack, our losses would be tremendous. With this strategy, we can really snatch victory from the jaws of deceit. Ah, rats! You've seen through my cunning punning.
Professor!
The fish in this pond get fed every day, so they're swimming all lazy and serene. But the only reason they're kept here is so that they can one day be used for food. But the fish don't know that, so they just swim around happily. It's a bit of a miserable thought. But aren't soldiers much the same?
No sail. A class reunion on the battlefield? That's bleak. That must have been so hard on everyone. You gotta keep looking after them all. I mean, they still look to you for guidance, you know? Hey, how about a favor? Appreciate it.
Professor?
Greetings, Professor. Nothing to report. Is it true that we'll be assaulting Fort Merceus next? That doesn't sound like the brightest idea. I've heard that it's built to withstand an attack from even the largest of armies. Not to tell you how to do your job, but don't do it. I'm not ready to say my final goodbyes to everyone.
Teacher.
Dimitri,
the late Prince of Fargus. He despised the Empire with all his heart. He should not have tried leading an army while his emotions were holding him captive. True enough, but I suspect the reason he died is that he could not keep his emotions in check. I see. You are saying you met with Dimitri, but you could not tell if it was reality or a dream. I wonder what that could mean.
Not possible. Professor, they tell me my father died at Gronder. Was that really a fitting end for one such as him? I don't know. I just don't know. Hey, under your leadership, we can win any battle, no matter the odds. That's what everyone's saying, anyway. Hope you can keep up with our expectations, Professor.
Well, according to information we've received from the Eastern Church, the Alliance territories seem to be experiencing intense upheaval. Their leaders' well-being is still unclear, and the Lords are all questioning each other's intentions. It seems like a difficult time to ask the Alliance for assistance.
Professor, standing face to face with those whom I went to school with. On the field of battle. How inhuman war is. How horrifying. My heart feels shattered. It is my hope that this war marks the end of such foolish behavior.
Professor, you know when you work your muscles and they start screaming? That means you gotta be nice to them. If your muscles are hungry, you gotta feed them. And let them rest when they're tired. Of course! If my muscles hurt, then I hurt. If they're hungry, well then I'm hungry too. What's with the confused face, Professor? You look like you don't get a word I'm saying.
Professor, I have excitement in my heart for secret tactics. I enjoy attacks that are surprising. Yes, hunting is doing surprise attacks on prey. Surprise attacks are safe with friends. Fewer injuries.
I've heard Dedue's passed on, just like His Highness. That's true. I did hear that his body was never found. If somehow he's still alive, I hope we'll meet again.
Hey, you.
What?
So, you see... You know, Professor, laying siege to a keep is like asking a girl out on a date. First, you get past her defenses, then you make your move. I knew you'd get it, Professor. Anyway, you know more about tactics than me, so I don't know why I'm offering you advice.
Okay.
Edelgard, Dimitri, Claude, all the house leaders from way back when, assembled again at Gronder. I wonder what their thoughts were as they headed out to the battlefield.
Professor!
After that great battle earlier, balance of power in Fodlan has shifted greatly. But we only stood a chance because we drove the Empire from the Great Bridge of Myrddin. To get revenge for all our fallen friends, we'll have to stake our lives on the fight that lies before us.
Doesn't matter how sturdy the keep. If the commander defending it is incompetent, it can fall as easy as anything. That's what they say, at least. I wonder if that applies to Fort Merceus. All I know is, if I was the Emperor, I'd never in a million years assign an incompetent commander to a fort as important as that one.
Wow. I hardly recognize everyone. Their faces have changed so much. More experience in the eyes, and more pain. I'm glad that they're stronger, but I hate to think they've all become hardened killers.
Look after them, okay? Try to keep them on the straight and narrow.
Lovely. I'm rather curious to see what stratagem we'll devise to capture the fortress. You know Fort Merceus's nickname, I assume. The stubborn old general? But there must be one or two gaps in its defenses.
Hey, I could use a hand.
Hello there.
Hello.
Could be. I only know what little I overheard. But what I did hear implied that the Empire was involved in the tragedy of Duscur. If it's true, that may explain why His Highness chose to fight the Empire. Perhaps I should have fought alongside His Highness. No, not anymore. I am where I belong. Those of us still on this plane of existence will carry the torch. The inhumane actions of the Empire must not be repeated.
I never used to care whether I lived or died. But when I think of all those who died at Gronder, I realize how precious life truly is. I'm ashamed of how arrogant I was to think that death could mean so little.
I come here after getting chased out of the Empire. There's no place for our kind there anymore. But there are still many inside Empire territory who haven't abandoned their faith in the Church of Seros. I pray that one day we'll get the chance to rebuild the church within the Empire.
Oh, Goddess, hear my prayer. Please bless the deceased with peace everlasting, and may his soul rest in tranquility. You know, I used to see him praying quite often when I would come to the cathedral at night. I wonder who it was he prayed for back then.
Professor, I heard that a staggering number of people lost their lives in the battle at Gronder. And here we are, preparing for the next battle as if nothing happened the day before. It's almost easier to think about war as theater, with the stage an entire continent. Even if an accident happens on stage, the next day you have to sing as though nothing happened. Everyone just pretends like everything is fine, focusing on their role in the play.
Hey, you!
The battle at Gronder Field certainly took an unexpected turn, did it not? Let us press on, so as not to waste the opportunity. Fort Merceus is a keep that was constructed to defend the imperial capital, Enbar. We cannot enter the capital without first capturing that fort. But once we have it, the city should be almost entirely at our mercy. I will make the necessary preparations. Be ready.
What?
Each step closer to Enbar, I'm reminded of another part of my past. Riches and poverty, glory and failure. That city has it all. And if I'm honest, sometimes I miss it. That's how the past works, though, isn't it? It's always a different story than what you really lived.
Fort Merceus is the Empire's single most fortified military installation. Utterly impregnable, they say. I wonder, do you happen to know the nickname given to Fort Merceus? Indeed, a very good answer. But of course, you'd know that. Seems Fodlands give everyone and everything a nickname. Why, you were called the Ashen Demon. Myself, I have been called the Father of Crestology, which is a nickname as well as a title, I suppose.
Hey, you. I like this idea of yours, dressing as Imperial soldiers so they'll let us in. But don't you wish there was one more twist in the plan? Come on, Professor, think. How could we add another wrinkle, Set's dressed as a woman. I don't understand what the point of that would be. On second thought, let's just stick to the plan as originally conceived. That seems safer.
Did you give the ridiculous order to prepare Imperial armor for every one of our troops?
I've reached out through all of my channels, but there are limits to these things. I'll have to recruit an entire town's worth of people if I ever plan on making enough.
I've heard that Gilbert, who used to serve in the Knights of Seros, fell at Gronder. Apparently he was originally a knight of the kingdom, and now he shared Prince Dimitri's fate. Gilbert was an exceptional knight. It's an unspeakable shame.
Really? Let's see, guess what I noticed? I can see further than most other people can see. But I can't figure the point of seeing further than an arrow can fly, since I can't shoot what I see. I suppose I could see a whole horde of enemies coming and run away. That's kind of useful, at least. Thanks, Professor. I think I get it now. I'm gonna put my eyes to real good use.
Professor, it sounds like the battle at Gronder Field was pretty gruesome. We don't know for certain whether Claude's alive or dead. Maybe he's all right. I wish I could make sure somehow. But it doesn't seem possible now.
Hey you, listen up. I've got something to report. Lots of things happen down here. Lots of reports need to be reported. And for all reportable things, I'm your guy.
Hey there.
Got a wager for you. My friend says there's twice as many women in Abyss as men. You think he's right? No way. You got eyes? Take a look around.
I hurt my leg in the last battle. Had to take shelter down here. Nowhere else to go. Be careful up there. All sides are bringing their strongest people to this fight. Count Burgleys in the Empire, Lord Holst in the Alliance. I'm sure the Kingdom's got someone too.
You know, House Albrecht also took part in the Battle of Gronder. That's where my little bro is, of course. Yeah, he's very different from me. A smart one. But just about worthless in a fight. I really hope he's okay.
It's not that I don't sympathize with Lady Edelgard's goals, mind you, but perhaps not to the point of shedding blood for her ideals. Of course, but I've gone down a different road. Peace in Fodlan and a restored House Nouvelle shall be my guiding star as I blaze my own trail.
Yeah, I used to be a rather important person in the church, but I am in exile for committing a crime. I embezzled some money, but it wasn't out of greed. My hometown was pillaged, you see, and the church wasn't putting in enough to rebuild.
If the Empire rallies its forces and attacks Garreg Mach, I'm not so sure Abyss will be okay. If we're not careful, it'll end up buried in rubble. Ever the valiant one. But nobody ever knows how a war will turn out. That's part of the deal, you know. Maybe I'm being paranoid.
but I want to ensure there is still a refuge for people to escape to.
Yikes. People have always fought, I guess. Bandits and nobles clashing over territory, things like that. So before the war, when folks talked about how peaceful everything was, I thought, what continent are you living on? I get it now. A few isolated skirmishes here and there are nothing compared to a full-blown war. The one truly peaceful place I've known was the village where I grew up.
That's what a pain. What an absolute pain. Concerned, are you? That's nice. A little too nice. Here's a word of warning. If anyone here asks you for a favor, it's probably just a scam.